You wanted more Mega Draft? You got it. Lucas, SandBox, best of 5. So here we go. Draft number 1. Lucas with the first pick after a guess the closest to the number, Fireball. Taken by Lucas, the only traditional big spell. Arrows, Log, both on the board. Snowball, Barb Barrel as well. And Sandy, kind of looking at the spell situation and choosing not to get involved yet, maybe not too concerned, goes Executioner plus Arrows. So knows he can cover Goblin Barrel if necessary. Executioner, some good cleanup. And Lucas goes with the Pump. Fascinating call here. And normally I tell players that Pump is banned. I did not tell the players that beforehand. So it is what it is. SandBox picking up his second spell here. Trying to look at the opportunities for him. As far as win conditions go, he might be building towards an Electro Giant. Although with the Golden Knight pick by Lucas, that does undermine it a little bit. Drill now, more likely for SandBox here. Lots of ways to feed it. Could be going Graveyard as well. Graveyard's actually a really nice option here. The Goblin Hut will be a problem for the Graveyard, though. And no real way to deal with the Flying Machine for SandBox. The Executioner is pretty much it. Lucas may be going Royal Giant here. SandBox has to make some choices. Buildings are a problem for him. He might have to go Drill just so he has a building option to play defense in this matchup. And I think SandBox just let it go, maybe? Did he actually pick X-Bow in this situation? To be fair, it actually might be his best option against those Goblin Huts if they're played high at all. X-Bow GY. Something feels funky here in the picks of SandBox. Let's go ahead and jump into it. And played out of X-Bow position here. And Sandy not going to get a lock. E-Giant right into it. Going to have to ask SandBox about that X-Bow later. This was a rough draft for him, for sure. And Executioner, no help against the Spears here. Sandy just in a kind of a tough spot all the way around, where he didn't really have a good option. And I know what he was doing with the X-Bow here, but he didn't. If he had gotten the Goblins off the board, the Spears in the opposite lane off the board, he would have had a shot at a pretty devastating early connection. Unfortunately, though, didn't get it. And of course, Electro Giant going to make that even worse. Keep in mind, this is also a Graveyard deck. So does SandBox set up some defensive X-Bows and then try to play Graveyard? The drafting never gets old. It's always got surprises for you. And that Pump going to be a problem here. Just lucky is SandBox that the Pump wasn't in starting hand. And he Graveyards onto the Pump side as he kind of has to. And the Skeletons to protect the Pump. There will be some shots from the Graveyard onto the Electro Pump, though. That's a pretty good situation overall for SandBox, and he came out of that the way he did. But now he has an Electro Giant and Fly Machine to deal with. Executioner should be in hand, and it is. He's going to go ahead and try to play DPS here with the Xe plus Ghost. Fireball, because of the Fly Machine, does get the Executioner off the board. And the lead is heavily in the favor of Lucas, as it should be in this matchup. And the Flying Machine not even in range of the Princess Tower, so the Snowball has to come out. And SandBox sets up defensive X-Bow. And might have to just eat this Pump here. And just no answer for the flying machine. No answer for just about anything here. So Sandy getting first drafted. Can he find a way to battle this one out? I just don't see it. With the only way to get to the flying machines being the Executioner or some of these spells, it just makes it nearly impossible. And you see calling good game right now. You see why I thought maybe he's going to go drill. Was specifically to have a little more flexibility against these Electro Giants. Didn't, and that's it, game one. First pick for SandBox in game two. All right, here we go. Game number two. This time SandBox first pick. Spells only. Rocket, the big spell. NATO arrows, Earthquake. Interesting choice here. And NATO the pick for SandBox. Probably the smartest one here. Zap, Barbarrel, Arrows, Earthquake, the spell situation. Mighty Miner, Skeleton King, Golden Knight. And Lucas going Mighty Miner immediately. He might go Mighty Miner, Barbarrel here. Let's see. There is no Goblin Barrel on the board. Does Lucas take Miner? NATO does set up some of the counter for it, but Lucas might not care. Goes Skeletons for Cycle. SandBox might be going Electro Giant here, which does a lot of good stuff for an E-Giant deck. There's also no Inferno Dragon and no Inferno Tower. And a smart flying machine pick there. Lucas probably wants to pick up something with some range. He might go arrows, or archers, I mean. Yeah, there he goes. He goes with the archers. The NATO and the Electro Dragon going to make that a little bit tough. And yeah, just sitting straight up for an easy E-Giant deck here is SandBox. So Lucas has Cage as a possibility. He might even... P.E.K.K.A.'s not a great pick in most cases. He's going to go Minor Wall Breakers, I believe. But he needs a really solid E-Giant counter. And he might just rely on the arrows plus the, I'm assuming, Cage here. The Furnace is an interesting choice out of SandBox just for some annoying pressure. Going to make Lucas play his cycle cards in weird spots. I like that pick from SandBox here. He goes Spears as well. So you have to think this is going to be Electro Giant. Lucas, does he go Miner plus Building here? He has Rocket. He has the Wall Breakers. Has good cycle. He goes P.E.K.K.A., so he's going to go P.E.K.K.A. rather than Building. And he goes no Miner. Just Wall Breakers, EQ, Spell Cycle with the P.E.K.K.A. Going for shutdown play. Keep in mind, the only ways he has to get to the air are those Archers, the Fire Spirit, and the Rocket. And SandBox goes Loon. What a juke by SandBox there. When the P.E.K.K.A. gets picked, SandBox goes, fine. You only have Archers for this. You have nothing else. What a pick by SandBox. So Archer's out of cycle. Does SandBox just go Loon other lane? Yeah, he does. Boom. Right there. What a last round pick. Now, Rocket is an X factor here. And SandBox doesn't have any way to really tank for the balloon. So he might just continuously let the balloon pressure and take the +1 trade against the Rocket. EQ was smart from Lucas to pick against the Furnace. And he misses the pickup with the Fire Spirit. Half step late with that one. And I think Lucas might use the Mighty Miner Bomb on this flying machine, especially because it's not in Princess Tower range. There you go. Takes one shot on the Princess Tower. Minute 45 left, and now Lucas is going to try to get these Wall Breakers to sneak past. They don't do it, and that Furnace, perfectly timed, will be very healthy and very annoying for Lucas to deal with. I don't really know how often SandBox did have a real shot to get balloons on towers. But if he keeps that Rocket out of cycle, oh, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a real problem. Oh, the great Skeletons Lucas protecting. Great Skeletons. Does get death damage plus spears on tower, though. So SandBox sequenced nicely, but has a P.E.K.K.A. and a Mighty Miner to deal with. Golden Knight to pull in the middle. Might have to just eat these wall breakers for safety. And he does. Probably going to Furnace here in the center. Maybe just Flying Machine. There we go. Flying Machine should be enough to clean that up. Has to NATO just to be careful, especially with how much damage he's taken. 1892 on the right-hand side. Lucas does have the lead. P.E.K.K.A. picks up the Flying Machine. And now we finally see the Electro Dragon in the mix. And that Rocket. Rocket proving to be useful here. Elixir lead now for SandBox, so he goes in opposite lane, knowing that the Rocket has to be cycled too. And Rocket is going to get a little bit of everything here. Got the Golden Knight and got the Balloon. Death damage in will get us close, though. 1708 to 1523. Lucas with the lead, playing a really interesting configuration, and he goes wall breakers in the back just to make it so that the expenditure timing is a little bit annoying here for SandBox. Still, Sandy comes out okay from that one, but Lucas keeping the pressure on with the Fire Spirit. Fire Spirit forcing out the Golden Knight, who will take a shot from the P.E.K.K.A. Pressure from Lucas is relentless, forcing SandBox to go 2 lanes now. Bandit will go to the right, picked up by the Mighty Miner. Flying Machine not going to get on tower. Great kite with the Skeletons from Lucas. He's playing Cycle perfectly right now. SandBox is trying to find a hole in this defense, but Lucas shutting it down and shutting it down nicely. That Bandit connection is not insignificant that Lucas just took, and just like that, the Bandit suddenly makes things almost even. This Mighty Miner is going to do a lot of damage. NATO has to pull it off, and it does. No NATO Golden Knight plays yet for SandBox. He might pressure Loon left-hand lane here. With all this on the right. There he goes. Loon to the left-hand lane. Very smart play. Mighty Miner comes out trying to go for the knockback move instead of anything else. The knockback move is not going to stop the Balloon connection, though. Balloon gives one, does not give a second. NATO not available here. Loon behind all of this. Golden Knight connects. Rocket trying to clear. Golden Knight will do it. GG, well played. What a game number 2 here. A crazy chess match, and SandBox comes out on top. Tied up, 1-1. All right, Lucas now with first pick game 3. Different situation from our first 2 rounds with lots of big spells, and Lucas takes neither of them. I guess with Poison and Fireball, he's like, hey, there's 2 options out there. I'm happy with either one. Goes NATO. SandBox taking Fireball, which I like here with both the Pigs and the Magic Archer on the board. No Lightning, no Rocket, and no Monk, so Queen, the second pick by SandBox, very smart. Lucas now going to go some sort of Fireball bait deck, I think. Both big spells picked by SandBox. You know, you'd never see this deck in regular play, but SandBox looking at the situation on the board and going, hey, I'm just going to get all the big spells and make it so you don't have any. Golden Knight for Lucas, who was looking like Pigs. Might still go Pigs, but he's going to go Pigs into Fireball Bomb Tower? That doesn't seem like the move. But Lucas has been kind of doing strange stuff here so far. Hedging against Drill and against Pigs with the Dark Prince and Valk picks. And it is Drill as the pick for Lucas. 2 good Drill counters for SandBox, though. What does he need to go with for his final? Maybe he wants something for Cycle, something small from that second line there. Going to go Pigs himself as he's taken almost all of the splash counters. Is he going to pick a Cycle card here? Skeletons, Electro Spirit, Fire Spirit, Spears. I would pick Spears here, maybe Firecracker. Goes Fire Spirit for just a little bit faster on the cycle. Nothing in the air to deal with, so, I guess you're not worried about the ranged troop situation. So what does Lucas pick here? He has the drill. He usually would want a cycle card. And goes Inferno Dragon. And immediate pigs. SandBox knows there's no great counter. So why not go ahead and get some free damage early? Lucas is going to only defend with the Skeleton King. This is smart from Lucas, though, because he's going to be up by about 5 elixir with the Skeleton King value on the board. And now he's just going to full send right into this. Giant Skeleton gets pulled back. Archer Queen's out. Nice bomb tower high here. But that Valk should go down and be enough for a Golden Knight potential. Oh, he dashed maybe a half step early. And now pigs one more time. Lucas, despite having first pick, getting in a lot of trouble in this one. Does not get the King Tower activation. And now SandBox just running downhill. Full speed ahead. And Lucas calling good game early. He's so low on elixir. And yeah, this was just SandBox drafting him into oblivion. SandBox picking all anti-pigs, leaving Lucas nothing, and then picking pigs. Giant Skeleton does keep the queen occupied there. Lucas just needs to find a way to support this Giant Skeleton. These pigs are such a problem, though. This time Golden Knight will help, and he shouldn't take too much damage from this group. And now with a healthy Golden Knight on the board, Magic Archer finally mixed. Keep in mind, that's our first time we're seeing Fireball. Fireball Poison, the last 2 cards. SandBox hasn't had to use his spells yet at all. Has been playing just pure troop defense. Maybe he NATOs in the Archer Queen here. Does Lucas do it? Decides not to. Just trying to get control of the board here. He's gonna take some pigs damage here and hope he can push into this left-hand lane. Decides to activate King Tower. That could be helpful. But is it too late to be helpful? And Lucas kind of slowing down here. And what a great little protection on the bomb tower there from Lucas. Inferno Dragon going to try to find a way for the Giant Skeleton to get through. Good Golden Knight connection. And Giant Skeleton pushes in really deep. And that's close enough to connect. Wow. Lucas does connect. Called the good game early, but now he's right back in it. Pigs to the right-hand side. Lucas does have his Goblin Hut available. And that's 3 big shots from the Magic Archer. Very, very critical shots here. Pigs are going to kind of be untouched. King Tower activation, very important. 486 to 661, and now Lucas just trying to put the pedal to the metal here. He's going to wait a little bit longer, gets the Golden Knight connection. Pigs are in. NATO gets the pullback, tower down, and Lucas takes the 2-1 lead in what looked to be a done and dusted deal. What a great win by Lucas, and here we go into the draft for game number 4. SandBox first pick takes Fireball, only other option for a big spell, Lightning. Fireball certainly the more versatile of the 2. And with pigs on the board, taking Lightning a little dangerous. Lucas taking NATO. Will he go try to build towards Miner here? Bait might also be a good option. If Lucas can get arrows, he actually might have a pretty good chance at bait here. He might go Arrows Goblin Barrel. Does he think that's the option? Monk not great against Goblin Barrel. What does Lucas... He decides to go Lightning instead. So Lucas going big here. And the arrows does shut down any bait play. Arrows, Archers, nice pick. Nice 1-2 pick out of SandBox. Pick the counter, then the card. Lucas has been drafting in the most unconventional ways. I don't think he goes pigs here with Fireball plus Dark Prince on the side of SandBox, but it is a possibility. Miner seems like it doesn't make sense. RG is the most sensible pick now on Lucas's side. And SandBox goes Miner despite the NATO. Maybe feeling how big this is. So this is kind of like this could be a bowler GY, but there's no GY to pick. So what does Lucas pick for his final card? Does he just play some sort of beatdown deck behind a giant? Maybe he plays wall breakers as well, tries to sneak them through all of this. Arrows shuts it down. Instead, just picks cycle. So he's gonna try to shut things down and overwhelm behind this giant, most likely. So Miner RG for Sandy. That makes that NATO a little different of a prospect here. So SandBox opens Miner, safe spot. Skellies will get there after a bit. How does SandBox deal with these beefy troops here? Clears the Night Witch with the... And man, when's the last time you saw Night Witch? Clears the Night Witch with Fireball arrows. Dark Prince comes out. And this will clear, but not without giving up some significant damage. I do not know what SandBox's game plan is to deal with these many thick boys on the board. In the same vein, he's going to give up... Lucas will give a lot of shots to these RGs. And it's just the Inferno Dragon. But now you have the bowler opposite lane. Going to have to control. Decides to go Monk in front of the Inferno. And nothing on the board. Just eat the entire chunk of bowler damage. And just full send time from SandBox, but yeah, he says oops. He did not read that correctly at all. There was plenty there for Lucas to control. And I think the Monk should have gone to the right to deal with the bowler there. SandBox giving up way too much damage. And trying to maybe fight his way through for a Inferno Tower connection. Didn't need it, though. Not with this RG Miner deck. The Miner turns the bowler the wrong way. And that's going to be some good Royal Giant damage. And that gives him a nice luxury here. Set up the Inferno Dragon into a single lane and take out two of the big boys. Might want to try to block the Electro Spirit here, as Lucas is going to try to cycle to it as fast as he can. Arrows need to come out here to clear this. Decides not to, instead he's going to troop up. Inferno Dragon staying on the board, very nice for SandBox. And there come the arrows. The Lightning will not take the Inferno Dragon off the board, though. And the Bats don't do the job early enough as well. SandBox needs to control the line up high. And that NATO, the Dark Prince outside up high, predicting the NATO on the defensive side. Very nice from SandBox. And now he has an RG deep in enemy territory. And this is going to be good damage here. Miner going to go to the outside. He could have gone Miner to the back here with the NATO and try to get the NATO to pull away. Instead decides not to allow a King Tower activation yet. And that Monk's going to get on tower. Bowler gets there. But Monk's going to go ahead and reflect the bowler damage as well. And that's GG. We're going to game number 5. Let's go. This will be a fun one, folks. Already has been. One more to go. Here we go. We said best of 5, and this is going all 5. Poison, Fireball, both available. Lucas picks Fisherman instead. RG Golem, both options here for the Brazilian. And both players kind of ignoring the spell situation so far. We'll see maybe SandBox takes Fireball now because he's going Inferno to prevent that disruption. Of course, the Zap is still there. I'm surprised that Lucas took took Skeleton King right after seeing the Archer Queen pick, because you have time. You can pick your champion whenever you want. Going a little swarmy, though, is Lucas, recognizing the Inferno Dragon will be nerfed a bit by having all those skeletons on board. Poison Barb Barrel on the side of SandBox does hedge against Graveyard here. But does it hedge well enough? This next pick from Lucas will tell us a lot about what he's thinking. And he just goes Graveyard. He goes Graveyard this early. So from SandBox, what does he pick here? Bomb Tower, maybe? Picks Fireball as well. Just saying, hey, I'm not going to let you support the Graveyard with spells. And really now, Lucas can't support this Graveyard at all. From a spell standpoint, it's going to be very hard for him to deal with this. And the Skeleton Dragons, maybe even Minion Horde, although you do have the delivery as an option there. Baby Dragon. So Lucas, let's see if he goes RG here and goes with kind of a little Chen style deck. Right? Like instead of RG Goblin Barrel, he could go RG Graveyard. I wouldn't hate that pick from Lucas if that's his final pick. Although the Lumberjack, again, a nice hedge against the Royal Giant. What does Lucas go with to support this Graveyard? And the Royal Giant pick from SandBox. What a pick. What a pick from Sandy. What does Lucas pick as his last one here? Does he pick Miner? Does he pick a Spirit for Cycle? No, goes Bandit. Just a little more thickness. A little more pressure. Here we go, Game 5. Oh, you gotta love it. And starting hands must be awkward as both players are taking their time here. Lucas cycling Fisherman. You don't have to worry about a giant skeleton pull. You know your opponent has no giant skeleton. And Barb Barrel does not pick up the Baby Dragon aggro, which is what SandBox was hoping for. And Lucas now just going all in at the bridge. So the early skirmishes yield little results, as the only damage is the Rage Pop on the right-hand side. Lucas setting up what should be the first of many Witches here. I think he's going to lean on Witch quite a bit in this matchup, in fact. And a great little Zap to protect her. Keep an eye on that Zap and how Lucas uses it in this matchup. It has the feeling of being really important, given that Inferno Dragon. And boom, Graveyard right at the bridge. Forces out the Fireball and the Poison. And the Bandit connects. Huge sequence there for Lucas. And it's crazy that SandBox isn't up Elixir after all that. Pretty even. Let's see what Lucas chooses to do when he hits 10. And the Witch. Again, expect him to be putting her on the board as much as possible once we get into double, now that we're in double and beyond. Great poison value here for Sandy. And Queen ability pops in, RG down, Fishboy, and now full send from SandBox, who has no big spells to worry about. Royal Giant gets 2 shots here on the right-hand side, fireballing on the Witch, trying to make room here to get on the tower again. Can't do it. Counter push time for Lucas. Healthy, fully healthy Skeleton King and Fisherman. The double big spells, though, are huge. Barb Barrel trying to clear out some skellies. That's a lot of skeleton value, though. That's a ton of that Graveyard's all over it. Graveyard all over tower. Finally goes down. SandBox calling good game here. Just went a little too hard, I think, on that last offensive push. Needs one more troop to help out with these skeletons. Yeah, they weren't going to do it. Skelly Drags were not going to do it. GG, well played. Lucas gets it done in a full 5. Want more Clash Royale content like this? Like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your grandma. And as always, be excellent to each other. Party on, dude.